Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, we are talking surviving a scandal. But more specifically, I'm going to be breaking down some recent scandals in the skincare industry and looking at the brand's response to those scandals. We're going to be picking it apart and working out what is a ding 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 total A+ response and what is a wah 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 PR disaster. The reason I wanted to do this is I think we're always quite quick to cancel brands and quite cancel products and things that we don't like. I believe passionately everyone gets a second chance, but I think that second chance is very much based on the response to the initial scandal. If a company does it well, I think we should definitely give them the benefit of the doubt. None of us are perfect, myself included. I've been given so many second chances in life, and I think brands are exactly the same. However, if they deal with it wrong, I do think we have the right to walk away. And we're going to be sharing some examples and working out what went right, what went wrong, and what brands really should be learning from them. I really want to know your thoughts and feelings on any of these as we go along, so leave me a comment below sharing your impression of the brand both before and after, and whether you think, let's be honest, whether you think they're worthy of that second chance. This video has been totally inspired by the two different approaches taken by recent scandal hit companies. We had the Purito sunscreen scandal, where their product was shown to be less than the SPF they advertised, quite significantly less. Their response, where they issued a full refund to anyone who wanted one, they looked into what the issue was, they took ownership of the issue, and they're making steps to put it right. I think really won plaudits, and I actually shared my thoughts on that specific issue in a video, which I'll leave a link to up there. Definitely recommend you check that out, because that to me is really how you win back trust quickly. We then had the issue with the Keep Cool and Soothe Korean skincare brand. I again covered this in a video where they resorted to bullying, intimidation, and underhand tactics to defend their product. Totally the wrong approach. So let's break it down, talk about a few scandals as we go along, and work out which companies were the ding 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 holy grail responses and which were the wah 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 total PR disasters. First up, I want to talk about a brand and a product which I absolutely love, and that is Summer Fridays and their jet lag mask. This has been a cult favourite for the past year, ever since I think it was Kim Kardashian promoted it first and said how good it was, and then everybody wanted a piece of it. I actually tried the product and I loved it. It's beautifully formulated with niacinamide and vitamin C. It leaves your skin feeling so hydrated and like you've had like 20 hours sleep. If you're feeling your skin's a little bit dry, a little bit dull, maybe just not living up to what you want it to do, put this on before you go to bed and you wake up knowing you're going to have a good skin day. I recommend this product on the channel so often, but recently quite a few people have called out to say it actually caused sensitivity and irritation in their skin where it wasn't before. Summer Fridays did a whole look into this and found that actually there was an issue with a very specific batch where it hadn't been manufactured to the same standards as the rest of the product, and there was a few things in there that could be triggering irritation and sensitivity. This normally is totally unacceptable. You have to have full trust in the product that you're using. This left a lot of people shocked and wondering whether they ever actually wanted to buy this product again, or whether they actually trusted Summer Fridays, which is a reasonably new company. Now, their response to this was to do a full investigation into what it was, remove that batch immediately from sale, offer a full refund for anyone who had bought from that batch, and you can tell from the code at the back of the product. In fact, I am going to leave a link to this below in case you have got a product, one of their jet lag masks, and you do want to check it out. Offer a full refund, take full ownership of it, and explain to everyone what happened. So you've got that transparency there. You know which batches are impacted, you know how they're impacted, and that kind of gives you that peace of mind to continue using the product if yours isn't from that specific batch, or get a refund if it is. This I'm going to rate as a ding ding ding. I love this response. Took ownership of it, were fully transparent with what the issue is, have talked about and actually demonstrated things they've done to make sure it won't happen again, and didn't try to pass off blame to the manufacturer, which would be so easy to do in this case. But they said, actually, no, you can outsource your responsibilities, and we as a company are going to own it, deliver it, and make sure it never happens again. I actually think coming out of this, I'm still totally happy to use the jet lag mask. I think this is a really good example of a quick action and taking ownership, actually winning trust back super quick. I don't blame Summer Fridays for this. I do appreciate that, all manufacturing things have some margin of error. If you can find the issue and then put things in place to make sure it doesn't happen again, you win my support. So actually, I think this is a good example of a ding 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 holy grail response to a scandal. Now let's go from good with the Summer Fridays, or what I think is good, but I'd love to know your thoughts below, to what I think is pretty bad, and that is Drunk Elephant. Drunk Elephant had such a huge market. Every influencer was talking about Drunk Elephant using their products, fangirling hard over them. The packaging was gorgeous, it was Instagram friendly, and everybody loved it. The price tag was way higher than I think it needed to be, but people wanted to buy into the brand, so were willing to cash in and spend their money on the brand. They must have been making such a profit from all of these products, and they were selling out like that. Then came an issue where a couple of customers just called out online, on Twitter, and on Instagram that they weren't particularly happy with the product. Maybe it didn't work for them. A couple of the products they thought was a bit overpriced, all of which I think is legitimate criticism. Their pricing was a little bit high, and not all products work for everybody. That isn't where it ended, though. The scandal came about because the founder of Drunk Elephant and our employees took to Twitter and started trolling and attacking people that dared to question the products. They were leaving hate comments, and I don't use that term lightly. If you look, you can Google it for yourself. If you look at some of the comments that were left, they were hateful. They were calling people spiteful. They were saying that people were actually trolls coming from a different company, trying to undermine the brand. All of this just totally the wrong approach. As it turned out, all of these people were genuine. They were just consumers who had concerns with the product. The product didn't live up to their expectation. They didn't rate it 5 stars. All of these things are perfectly valid, and the company went hard for them. This, I think, is just a 101 on how not to deal with it, because everybody was rightly appalled, absolutely appalled by this behaviour, and said actually consumers should be free to share their opinions and their views on these products. Just because someone likes it doesn't mean that everybody will. Drunk Elephant was dropped overnight by just about every influencer. I haven't actually heard them mentioned on YouTube for quite some time. People just don't want to associate themselves with the brand. They took quite a while to apologise, and they never fully did. They said, looking back, we could learn things from the episode. That's not really an apology. And then the founder did issue a statement where she said she is sorry that people felt that they were being attacked. This is like the worst thing. No one wants to have an apology that says, I'm sorry you felt that way. Basically, I'm not apologising. It's your own fault for being a little bit sensitive. No. So this was just a 101 on what not to do. As a result, nobody's really talking about Drunk Elephant. They're not got the hype behind them that I think new brands really need to explode onto the scene and become a permanent fixture. And I think they're one of those that's just going to fade into obscurity over time. Now, another brand which is still very much prevalent in the skincare industry but has had a little bit of a scandal-filled past would be Sunday Riley. I actually really like a lot of the products from Sunday Riley. They work really well for my skin. I think the pricing's up there a little bit, but you do tend to get a little bit more for what you're paying. They're cruelty-free, and I think overall the packaging looks nice and the products are well formulated. However, they came foul of a scandal a couple of years ago where they were found to be leaving fake reviews on their products. They were getting their employees and asking their employees to leave reviews on websites, either their own or other review websites, saying how amazing Sunday Riley products were and that they were all 5-star reviews. Ding, 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 knocked it out the park. They were found to be all coming from Sunday Riley employees, including the founder themselves, and so this led to quite a high-level investigation in the US into whether this actually breached some regulations. They were found to be in breach of certain things and had to apologise, which they kind of did. So let's talk about the response. Once it was found out, they did stop the practice. They apologised in part, where they said, yes, they admit that what they were doing was wrong. However, the founder did say all of the brands, the only reason they were doing it is because all of the brands were leaving negative comments and reviews of their product because they were threatened by them. And so they were actually doing it to counter fake negative reviews from other brands. I'm not so sold on this because I think, A, there's no proof that brands are doing that. If you've got your receipts, share them, but they never shared any evidence that brands were doing that. And I'm not a great believer in tit for tat. I don't think just because someone else is doing something, even though I suspect they probably weren't, even though someone else is doing something doesn't give you the right to do the same thing. 2 wrongs don't really make a right, and it was a bit of a half apology. However, they haven't done it since. They have been fully transparent in terms of their review profiles, and they will share their reviews and where they came from with anyone, so you can get that confidence that the reviews you do see now are fully legitimate. They removed all of the fake reviews and undertook a full process to remove them. And so I'm going to give this a It's not a ding 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 response because they didn't fully own it. They excused their behaviour by calling out other people maybe doing the same thing, which I'm not a fan of, but they did acknowledge that they were wrong and they took steps to make it right. And so those steps do mean that most of the reviews, in fact, as far as I'm aware, all of the reviews that are now left on Sunday Riley products are right, valid, and from individuals rather than company employees. This is a grey area, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I continue to use the Sunday Riley products when I do really, really like the product. However, this does still sit in the back of my mind. I don't think I'm fully over it the way that I was with, say, like Purito or the Summer Friday scandals. This will still just sit there niggling away at the back of my mind. It's not enough to make me not purchase from the brand and their products, especially if I really like the product, but I do always get a sense of guilt when I do. So I still think I'm a little bit 50-50 on this one, and I'd love to know your thoughts. In a similar vein, we had the Naturium failed launch. Now, no video on a skincare scandal would be right without mentioning Naturium, and I actually did a recent video where I took a second look at the brand, which I'll leave a link to up there, because I think that's quite a good one to watch on following on from this video, so you can see a little bit more if you want to know a little bit more about Naturium and how my thoughts on the brand have evolved. So, of course, we had the failed launch. Susan Yara, who is one of the co-owners of Naturium, was leaving reviews of the Naturium products without disclosing she actually owned the company. It was a bit cringe, you know, standing there going, oh, I've just discovered this fantastic new product, it's life-changing, it's so much better than The Ordinary, and they're from this gorgeous little brand that's totally worth it. And then 2 months later it turned out she owned the brand. It was all a bit cringe, and it left a lot of people quite sour. Susan Yara herself issued an apology, and whilst I'm going to rate this as a response, because yes, there was an apology, so that's the first thing. I think you have to apologise, and you have to own it and say, look, I'm sorry, I don't know why I did what I did, I'm calling it out. I would have liked an unreserved apology. The apology was a little bit like, I am sorry, however, technically, when I reviewed that product, I wasn't technically the owner at that point because I hadn't technically signed the paperwork. I'm like, really? In most people's minds, you were owning the product. You were owning the brand, and I think it was a little bit like you were trying to excuse yourself from the scandal a little bit. But there was a full apology issued, and we haven't seen a repeat of that since. They do put full disclosures on all her videos about her relationship with Naturium. It's there on the website, and so I do think they've learned from it and haven't repeated the same things again. She's very open about her relationship with Naturium now, and I wish she'd just done that from the start. This is another one of those I check out the video I did on Naturium to see what my evolving thoughts are. I will give Naturium a second look. I do think some of their formulations are good, whilst they're not the most exciting products. I think they're quite good. I just wish the apology had been a little bit more 100%. I'm genuinely really sorry. I'm sorry, however, technically, I just think maybe it is a bit like, I think companies just need to own it, apologise in full and move on, and I'd like to see a little bit more for that. Now we're coming on to Keep Cool and Soothe. I did a whole video on this, so I'll leave a link to it up there. Definitely check this out. This is like a PR disaster. What? Total don't need. It didn't need to be a scandal. So they felt a little bit intimidated, a little bit under pressure that people were maybe challenging Korean sunscreens in general, in like the Purito sunscreen controversy, even though no sunscreen other than the Purito one has actually been proven to be below the SPF stated. However, you know, a lot of Korean sunscreens were coming under a bit more scrutiny, and people were saying, I don't feel confident using a lightweight lotion style product. Maybe I'm going to move to some other ones, more Western sunscreens. That's personal preference, and whilst there's no scientific data to say any of the other Korean sunscreens are below the SPF, if you want to move to another type of sunscreen, that's your call as a consumer and your right to do. It's similarly, if you're an influencer here on YouTube or Instagram, again, it's your choice to share your opinions on it. I don't think, as long as you don't say that a brand is below an SPF when they're not, which as far as I'm aware nobody did, I think it's absolutely fine. Well, Keep Cool and Soothe decided to take issue with this and decided to issue threats and intimidation in the form of emails from their PR team. These are people that should know better, to any influencers. I think some influencers who had even just mentioned the name in passing, and some that maybe had said, I'm just stepping away from this product till I've got my receipts, until I know what the SPF actually is in there with independent testing. It was intimidating, it was bullying, it was called out heavily online with people saying, why would a company do this? And loads of people have said, actually, I just don't want to purchase from this brand anymore. I just don't want anything to do with them. Bullying needs to stop. Full stop. There is no excuse. It destroys people's lives, and it's the worst form of behaviour in my book. And they created this scandal because actually a few people were saying maybe I will look away from Korean sunscreens. Well, that's their choice. No one was specifically challenging this brand until they started doing this, and now everyone was like, forget it. I don't actually care. I'm just walking away from this brand. So they created it themselves. So I'd say we're going from the sublime with some of the responses such as Purito and some of Friday's to the ridiculous, where this company has actually created its own scandal. You know, they don't need us to create it for them. They've created their own scandal. A firm wah, wah, wah. So I'd like to know, guys, what do you look for when we're talking about second chances? For me, I think what all of these have shown when we pick them apart and we look more into them is I think transparency is key. Actually say what the problem was. You know, own it and be transparent. So ownership and transparency are the two key things. I think an apology should be an unreserved apology. Nobody has time for that. I'm sorry you feel that way, as if it's your fault. Nobody has that time for I am sorry, but approach. I think an apology should be unreserved. And if you're not gonna take full ownership for it, why bother apologizing? You might as well just say, actually, do you know what? I don't care, and move on. I'd have more respect for a brand that did that than one that gives a half apology because they feel obliged to. I also think it's really important that you compensate the customer if they do find themselves out of pocket. You know, if you're stuck with a product that isn't living up to expectations, you have a right to have your money back. And I like those companies like Purito that proactively say, just contact us and we will give you a refund. They're not obliged to do that, but I think it's a nice step in winning back people's confidence. Hopefully this video has shown if they do the right things, if companies, and I hope they're listening, do the right things, you can win confidence back like that. Trust isn't lost forever, and I'm all in favour of giving companies a second chance. Purito definitely get a second chance for me. I love so many of their products, and I think they've actually won me round more with this. I have a more respect for them as a brand after this than I did before. Summer Fridays, I think it's a great example of a small startup brand actually delivering and caring about its consumers and wanting to deliver the best quality product. And they've actually won so much more respect from me than they had before this. And I'm going to continue to use the jet lag mask because, you know, I love the product and now have confidence it's going to be manufactured to perfection. In terms of some of the other brands like the likes of Naturium, I think that's an evolving picture. I'm willing to look the other way and give a second chance. Same with Sunday Riley, but I totally understand if people don't feel they've done enough yet to warrant their support back, and I think that's going to be something that they may need to do a little bit more work on. Then we have the trash. We have the drunk elephant and we have the keep cool and soothe, who created their own scandals, didn't apologise, didn't do anything about it, and just in the gutter. Morals in the gutter, and I don't think a worth, personally for me, will ever get a second chance, because I think the first thing you need to do to get your second chance is to apologise. I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings, so leave them in the comment below, and hopefully this is just a bit of a quick rundown of some recent scandals, but not focusing on the scandal themselves, but focusing on some of the positives that can come out of it and how companies can overcome these things and just, you know, regain people's trust and support. Wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye.